I want to talk about reputation.
Uh-oh, not mine. Please, not mine.
But I want to give
me.
a very specific example. So it is summer in 2022, and we were on the East Coast looking at colleges for my daughter because she's applying to colleges. And we're in Amherst, Massachusetts. And so I need to go get my hair cut. So I go to the local barber. I go to Sandy's barbershop. And the barber asks, oh, so what do you do? I say, I'm a screenwriter. He's like, we got a screenwriter here. And they're like, oh, you must know Lucia Aniello because she's like a big deal in Hollywood.
Oh my
God.
God.
Because I did know because I'd seen all of your things.
Yeah.
And so I'd recognize your name. And I'd never met her, but it's like, oh, she's fantastic. And like, damn right, she's fantastic.
Oh my God.
So the barbers of Amherst, Massachusetts are very proud of you.
Shout out Amherst, Mass. Shout out Western Mass, the Pioneer Valley. I'm from Hadley, Massachusetts.
Right.
And my parents owned restaurants in the area. And because of that, like my parents were very much like people in town, in Amherst.
I got that sense that they were, yeah.
Yeah. And so I think as a result, there's like a community there of people. They don't live there anymore, but there's a community of people who have my back and are dropping my name. And I appreciate you and I love you.
And hello, Claire and Maro, because much like you, they listen to everything we record. So they will be hearing this and be very excited.
Well, I want to talk about reputation because it's one of those things that is simultaneously incredibly important, but not a thing you can really control. You can try to control it, but it's fundamentally owned by other people.
Right.
And I think it plays an important role in Hacks because Deborah Vance is so concerned about her reputation.
Yes.
She's trying to manage it, but it's sort of outdated her. Like it doesn't actually match the real person. And then of course, Ava comes in and just like one bad tweet has ruined her reputation. So a reputation can be a liability or a huge asset.
Yep.
So I'd love to dig into reputation a bit. So I knew of you, Lucia, I'd known your work and so your reputation was really good. And so it's not surprising that the barbers of Amherst, Massachusetts knew it too.
I love that.
But when were you first aware of a reputation or sort of trying to make sure the work you were doing represented who you wanted to be?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because there's two versions, right? There's the person that you actually are interacting with crew and executives and people who watch your work. There's that world. But there's also the work itself and the kind of messaging you're putting out in the world. And I think we'd like to think that the work that we do is a pretty cohesive in some ways, even though some are about a time-traveling bong and others are about a 70-something-year-old stand-up. I still think that there is kind of a messaging behind all of it that just feels like we're commenting on culture and what is good about culture and what's not good about culture and through characters and stories. But then, the person that you are, actually moving through the world. I think it's hard because, when you're making things, sometimes, of course, when I have the highest respect for your collaborators and everything, but I also have to be completely honest. Like, I'm sure that there's some people out there who like maybe some background person and saw me be frustrated in some moment and maybe that's their perception of me. And you kind of
Never.
Well, you never know. But you know what I mean? I think it's like okay to kind of acknowledge the idea that like you want to have a good reputation, but that's just the ripple effect of who you actually are day to day. And, hey, we all go to therapy and try to be the best people we can be. But, it's something that I think we all strive to be good about.
I mean, it's interesting we're talking about reputation because in our work, obviously, there is the reputation off screen and also then what you're putting out into the world. And it's interesting that as we're talking about it, it's occurring to me that a lot of the work that we've done is very, very personal. And it is sort of an extension of what we hope our reputations will be. I mean, with Broad City, Abby and Alana played Abby and Alana. Obviously, they were fictionalized versions of themselves. And actually, my character, I played Trey, the trainer at Solstice, very different than my actual personality. That said, I do think like the work it is a representation of our values and our beliefs and a lot of the things that we want to put out into the world. And so it's interesting that the work is very tied to what your reputation or the reputation you hope you have. But like you say, you can't really control it.
I think it's important that you're finding two different ways. It's the work you're putting out there in the world. So it's what anybody from a distance can see. But as you know, as you're looking to collaborate with somebody, it's like the reputation is really what is the whispers about the person you're calling up to ask, like, what is it really like to work with a person?
Right.
And that's where you find out that some people who have great work out there are actually just monsters, or they're not as good as they're supposed to be, or that movie, like they didn't really kind of direct it; it was taken away from them. All those things are factors,
right.
And it's challenging because like you do this for other people, and you're always mindful, like, are people doing that for me too? Like, what is my reputation?
Totally. I mean, yeah, it is something we think about because we're called all the time about actors or writers or people that we've collaborated with and what it's like to work with them. Oprah says, and she got this from Maya Angelou, that when someone tells you who they are the first time, believe them, right?
Yeah.
But that said, we've also heard things in the past about actors that might have been tricky to work with. And we've said, we really feel like they're exactly right for this part. We're still going to work with them.
Yeah.
And we've found them to be delightful. So sometimes I think the reputation is very site-specific.
Yeah.
It depends on a lot of factors, I mean, making something obviously takes a whole community of people. And the alchemy of that can sometimes impact one's behavior and then reputation, So I don't know. Sometimes I think reputation, you do have to experience it. And you have to give people space to be better behaved on your set.
Well, I believe that, and I think that's actually very true. And we do very consciously, and actually Jean Smart, who plays Deborah Vance, is very helpful in this because she's number one on the call sheet. And so that really sets a tone. But we really try to make people feel comfortable and welcome on our set. And we really do have a very, very lovely set. And I do think that immediately makes maybe some tricky actors, they don't put their
claws aren't out.
The claws aren't out.
The fangs are hidden. Yeah.
I think that those people who maybe people have said have a tricky reputation, it feels like if you kind of just make them feel comfortable and confident, that you're all of a sudden getting a completely different person, and that person can then be funnier because they feel more comfortable and confident.
As Lucia said, often the tone is set by the number one on your call sheet or the showrunners of the show. We have heard that. And so the reason I reiterate that is because I don't want it to seem self-aggrandizing, but we have heard from actors like, I was different on your set. Like, I felt different on your set. Your set was a different vibe than other sets, which we want it to be fun because it is a comedy. Ultimately, it's a show about comedy. So we really want people to feel comfortable and confident to try things and discover things and make it feel as alive as it can.
Yeah.
So it is a conscious thing that we all try hard to do.
In terms of making choices about the work you do, are you ever worried about your reputation? Like not taking a project because it doesn't fit. Brand sounds terrible, but it doesn't feel like a thing I would want to do. I don't want to be associated with that person, with that project, with that idea.
I think the truth is there's so little material out there that I don't want to say connect to, but so much of it is self-generated that we don't really encounter that too much.
As an actor, I feel that a little bit more. That there are things that I'm like,
different for you.
Well, if I do that, it's similar to the character I did on Broad City. And it's like, I don't want to be typecast in that way. So I think maybe more as an actor, but as writers and producers, I feel like it is all about the idea. And if we spark to it, we spark to it. I don't think we're too conscientious about the brand, I think it's more about what is the thing and what is it adding to the world? Because I think as we started talking about with reputation, I think, reputation is linked to legacy. And I think we're a little bit, in a way, like Deborah Vance, we're always thinking about what we leave behind. So I don't think it's as much about the brand, the style, the thing, as it is about just what the story is that we're putting into the world.
Yeah. One of the challenges is that you can be thinking like, I have an opinion about a thing, but I sort of don't want to say my opinion about a thing because it's just like, it's going to be a whole cycle of dealing with people's reaction to that thing. And one of the luxuries of writing a show is that you can put some of those thoughts in other characters' mouths
100%.
And get them out that way. I think playwrights are often sort of doing that, just like they can be the most hateful versions of themselves in those characters on stage.
Oh, yeah. And I think it's so funny because with Deborah and Ava, they're obviously have very differing viewpoints about the world. And there are seeds of truth to both. We try to come at them with a lot of compassion in terms of the way that we write their points of view, but also we share points of view with one or the other, depending on what it is. So it is interesting that we get to do that. We get to have,
our cake and eat it too.
Yeah, we get to air our grievances with the world or not,
Well, let's talk about this final season. I loved it, but I was also really curious about when did you know practically and creatively that this was going to be the final season, and what were some decisions going into it? So when did you know that was going to be the end?
I think we knew about the length of seasons a little bit before the midway point. We had pitched sort of the biggest tent poles of the series.
And I remember Jen came on the show and she sort of talked through what that was going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's told you this story, but I had a a prediction for what's going to happen in one season, and I mailed
Sent
her
that letter.
Sent the letter. Yes, all right.
I know. No, we were so excited by that.
Yeah.
I know. I really wanted to open it early, and she wouldn't.
That's true.
I was like,
open it.
now.
What if there's a good idea?
What if we have to change it? And she was like, guys, no. I tell you what, her morals are really strong.
I can sense that. That's her reputation as a woman of strong principles.
And she is.
She is.
That should be her reputation.
She believes in
it's
justice.
True.
Yes.
Very much. And she is also a Massachusetts girl. And so she gets lit up by injustice.
Yes.
You know?
We call her the Boston Bean.
Yeah. Boston Bean's coming out. She's fighting for what's right. So we knew that the sort of, she's going to go on the road. She's going to get a late night show. She's not going to have that the whole time. It's not going to be Larry Sanders. She's going to eventually leave that. And we pitched the final episode where she wants to call her own light.
Yeah.
So we knew a lot of those things. And I think it was around season 2 that we were like, this feels like 5 seasons. We feel like next season she's going to be striving to get the chair for late night.
Yeah.
Season 4 is probably what we'll explore as the late night chapter of the story.
Finally getting what she wanted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think we knew it around season 2 that we hoped it would be 5 seasons. We didn't know if we would ever get it. But, you know, sort of the runway, the amount of story that it took to get to those milestones was in flux until probably season 2 or 3.
Yeah, the beginning of season 5, we were really already grieving the end. So we're like, what if season 5 is 2 6-episode seasons? You know what I mean? Like we were trying to stretch it out, but in the end, we were like,
we were asked a lot, like, is this the final season? And we didn't want to say that because even though we knew what the end would be, we were like, could we make it? Could we do the Breaking Bad thing? Do like 2 shorter ones? Because we've loved making the show and we feel so lucky to have made a 5-season comedy that even though we were so lucky to end it on our own terms, it felt also a little bit crazy to be like, we're going to say goodbye before we're being asked to.
It feels honestly like breaking up with a soulmate. And you're like, there will be others, but this was so special. And so it's been really hard for us.
So let's talk about the writing process behind this. So when you went into the room knowing this was going to be the final season, what did the whiteboard look like? It sounds like you knew what that last episode was, but you didn't necessarily know what the beats were going before then. So talk to me about that.
We knew that we wanted to have her strive towards something, but that thing that she would get would then kind of be, it's not a MacGuffin exactly, but it would be something where she realized, she thinks that the professional goal is the thing, but then by the very, very end, she realized the goal wasn't the thing. It was the creation. It was the getting there. It was the, as she says in season 1, the scratch and the claw is the fun part. And so we did know we wanted her to have this goal of an MSG or what ended up being MSG.
But we didn't know that would be it. And I think very much like what happens in the first episode of the final season, she struggles with what will be my legacy and what is the thing I need to do. What is the win I have to sort of be the lead of my obituary because it was falsely printed and it was not flattering. So she's very determined to change it. And she and Ava have this discussion about what is the ultimate goal for a comedian. And we had the discussion in the writer's room. What is the ultimate goal for a stand-up? And if it's not to host a late night show or to have a sitcom, both of which she tried and failed at doing, it was to sell out a major arena like MSG. So once we had that, then we knew, then it was easier to sort of build episodes around that goal. But also, you know, in a final season, you're also serving all of your characters and saying goodbye.
Absolutely. So thinking through what is the last time we're going to see this character? What is the degree that they have arcs? How are you closing off their arcs? And so what did that process look like? How long is the room? Like what?
20 weeks.
20 weeks, okay.
20 weeks. By week 16 or 17, we're starting prep.
Which usually takes Lucia out of the room for some of it.
A little bit, yeah. So I direct usually the first block of this episode, so usually 3 or so. Then Paul usually does some in the middle. If we have somebody do another episode, we really like having guest directors, but because of the way that we block shoot, it's really hard for us to do it because it spreads a director over months and months. And then it becomes extremely cost prohibitive to have other directors.
And also they can't take other work,
Yeah,
because they have to be on call if we move a scene up or what have you.
Well, give us an example. So practically, what a block looks like. So you said first 2 or 3 episodes.
Yes.
So they're cross-bordered across those 3?
It's cross-bordered across those 3, but if there's a scene from episode 7 that is in that one location that we're doing the first block, we're pulling it up.
In this final season, like what are the locations you would need to come back to?
We started in New York.
That's right. We started in New York partly because of weather, which meant there were things from the final 2 episodes that we had to pull up to the very first day of shooting, which was really wild.
Yeah.
And it's very hard for the actors.
And so at this point, have they seen all the scripts, or you're basically just giving them the scenes?
No.
Because would everything be written, or everything's a little in flux?
The last 1 or 2 episodes were still finishing, but we knew enough that we knew that like the 9th episode, which is what we started shooting, we knew what it would be. And we just like got it together enough to be like, this is what we're shooting. They didn't know what it was exactly, but we did shoot those things first.
And obviously the hardest thing to write was the finale. Even though we knew where we were going, it was so hard to say goodbye to everybody, check all of the boxes, but also it was very much, you want to give your audience a satisfying goodbye. And so there was a lot of thought put into that. That said, usually I think the hardest episode is the first episode of the season. And so in a way, starting with some of the stuff at the latter end, I felt comforted by it. I was like, great, we know where we're going, even though it took a lot of writing and rewriting and rewriting and rewriting. It was kind of nice to start that way.
So locations, so there's Los Angeles, there's Las Vegas, there's New York, there's Paris.
Yeah.
Is there any other places you travel to?
Not this season.
Okay.
But mostly it's in LA. I mean, mostly...
Things that look like Vegas are actually in Los Angeles, same with New York City.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Great.
I mean, all of our interiors are here in Los Angeles. You know, we do usually spend a week or maybe 2 at most doing exteriors or big casino shots in Vegas because it's very hard to fake that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, everything is here in Los Angeles.
And has been since the beginning. And we're really proud and happy to be here.
Lucia, you said from the very first episode of the show, the idea of like oneers and these long tracking shots. And so do you feel an urge to top yourself each season with those?
Yeah, I mean, I think we do write very visually. And so we do put a lot of that stuff into the script. But also, it's this really interesting thing where you want to have like visual motifs that you repeat, but you also don't want it to feel like, that's all the show does. And so you do want to like push yourself. But yes, in terms of like the oneers, well, like we also have the visual, like the opening of the pilot was behind Deborah, and the opening of the
finale.
Yeah, episode 10 is behind Ava and her first day as a showrunner on Who's Making Dinner. And so those things, like those mirrorings, I do think are like worth doing without pushing yourself to do something new. But then, yes, there are things like when we were in Paris, I wanted it to feel like a slightly different language. Yeah. Like they're like in this like little love cocoon. And so like those shots felt different. The coverage felt a little different. It was like a little bit more voyeur, like we were watching them actually on vacation. And so, yeah, it's like I really try to just think about it as just like story and yes, reinvention and like one-upping, but not for my own boredom or ego or something. You know, it's to do it always for the story. Like
You're saying like it's mirroring because it's just like it's making people feel rewarded for having paid attention.
Exactly.
Also.
Yeah. And like for me personally, like if you're watching something I directed, I don't ever want you to be like, oh, that feels like it's a Lucia Aniello direction thing, because I really don't ever want my style to supersede what's best for story.
Yeah.
I just want it to be good.
So you have scripts written, you start shooting, and you're starting to say goodbye to people in front of the lens, behind the lens. Talk to me about that, because it's got to be just different. Obviously, any show could go away at any time. So when you're wrapping somebody out of an episode, wrapping a season, you don't know that everyone's going to come back. But in this case, everyone does know that they're not coming back. And people are also probably thinking about like, what is my next job going to be? Can you talk about some of the practical considerations of shooting a final season knowing that it's the end?
Yeah, I think it's very sad to say goodbye to people. And as you wrap them out, there were tears every block because you were saying goodbye to characters as they finished. But it was really interesting. No one, I don't think, was thinking about their next job. It was the most fun season to shoot. I think everyone was like, wow, this is the last time. Let's really appreciate it, which was so nice. There was certainly a lot of pressure and stress to get it right because it was the ending. And, we always say if you watch Chopped, it's all about the ending. Like,
whoever wins the dessert round wins the episode.
You really want it to feel good, in the end. That said, even though there was so much pressure to make it good, people had the most fun. I mean, Jean broke the most this season that she's ever broken. Right. And she never breaks. She's like she's a theater actress who is really hard to break, and she broke the most she's ever broken. And so it was just like a very fun season. It just felt very nice to appreciate each other because it was the end. The one practical thing was when it was someone's last day, being like, okay, we got to wrap them out and just get everyone ready. You know what I mean? It was like, we're going to do the thing. And so everyone was kind of bracing for that and making sure that other casts who might be in a changeover were present so that they could actually say goodbye to Poppy Lou, for example.
Yeah. Between other seasons, so like the first season was great, and I think you didn't know while you were shooting the first season that there would be a second season.
No.
So yeah, it was a good experience.
We kind of didn't know any season.
That's true.
Honestly, we didn't know.
I mean,
there was never a guarantee.
The fifth season, I think we knew was going to be like after the end of the fourth, we felt confident we'd get a fifth, but
yes.
But that'd probably be the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the only one. We never really knew.
Yeah. It's different than like the classic TV shows. Like if you're on Friends, you sort of know that Friends is coming back until it's not coming back.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And so, but you're this sort of weird middle exception where it's just like you've shot back to back or it felt like back to back much more frequently than other shows do. There wasn't this 2-year gap between seasons. Talk to us about you wrap a season and you start a new season. What was the space of time in between there? How long was it? And sort of what were the conversations?
Do you want to know how long? 48 hours.
Yeah.
Incredible.
That was maybe the longest. We usually were doing, let's say, promotion for a season that was still airing and then starting the writer's room for the next season.
Yeah.
When we started and when it aired, put us on a track that was sort of like, well, if you do want to do it annually, and part of that decision came from story because the very first season, it ends on a plane. Ava realizes that in sort of a drunken pill-addled stupor, she sent a very revealing email, and that's going to, come to pass in the next season. We picked up like 40 minutes later.
Yeah.
And so because we picked up so soon, that was part of it. I mean, obviously, we also enjoy as viewers of TV when our shows return. There are shows that we're like, where is it? There's so many shows that we're like, please, I need you to come back. We did want to give that experience to the viewer that it was coming back, but also it served the story because it was so on the heels of what had just happened in the first season. But then once we set up that momentum, we had to keep it up.
Yeah.
And so it was there was no time, there was no break.
The only time that we had a break was during the strikes. We did skip a year that time, but randomly the story was time passed.
Yeah.
So it was actually
bizarre.
perfect.
Yeah.
But we really have almost no time. And we edit on the weekends when we're shooting. So by the time we wrapped this past season, we had already locked 8 episodes.
Great.
Which is, obviously very hard because production is already hard enough, but then to be editing every single weekend for 4 months straight is really taxing. But it also meant that as we're editing, we can kind of, if there's something that we haven't shot yet and we know this could use some clarification, we're actually going to be shooting that scene. Let's rewrite, let's tweak that. So it made it so we could fine tune the writing as we're shooting, which we don't do on a massive scale. I think there's only one scene that we added, but it does really help us because we're just so in it. It also helps, I think, us as directors because we're thinking about how we're covering things. It's like, we just saw that. We should change up the way that they're in the office, this next one, and we saw that one already. So it just helps you be in the groove,
Yeah, the rewriting is so served by us watching the story as it goes.
Yeah.
And then being like, oh, we need to rewrite this to be this. Or we really need to underline this idea so that it's not missed.
Yeah. So as you're wrapping stuff up, there's all the people leaving crew on the cast leaving and crew leaving, but also post production. That's oh, that editor is done forever.
Yes.
When did your offices closed, or are the offices closed?
Great question.
Because I just think, does it just one by one people disappear, or is there just a day where it's
No,
done?
it's one by one. This editor's done, but their assistant editor's still on for a couple weeks, and then that person's moving up. So it's one by one, and it slowly disappears. It's so funny. What's left is, we just had a conversation the other day about bloopers and the servers. They want to they want to clear the servers.
They want to clear the servers. It's so weird. We're talking to HBO about when they close the Instagram. Yeah. We're like, oh my God, this sounds so sad.
It does.
Close the Instagram, give it to us.
Yeah.
We'll post random
pictures. They said they won't give it to us.
No, they were like, it's going to be retired.
Yeah.
Which
is so bizarre.
Paramount wants it now. It's weird. Yeah.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
So there are still some little things left out there.
Clearing the servers is bone chilling. I'm like, clearing the servers? What are you talking about?
That feels really bad. That feels like deleting a soul.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
It does. Let's transition to talking about your features, because you made 2 smaller features, and those are situations where they spring up, they exist, and everyone goes away. That's how a feature works, that people don't sort of remain. But those servers got cleared off at some point too.
Yeah.
Do you know where the footage is for Rough Night? If you need to go back and do a thing?
Absolutely not.
I don't know if it exists.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
No, I know.
So-
we have it exists on DVD.
It exists on DVD.
And maybe it was part of that Sony hack. So maybe it exists somewhere on someone's
Yeah,
home
someone's-
server. I don't
yeah.
know. They might have it.
No, I have no idea. But randomly, that movie like pops up on random streamers all the time.
It was so bizarre. Number 1 on HBO Max recently, but not in America.
No.
like
Only international.
Yeah.
It's so weird how movies have that kind of like, they can have a second life, I guess.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because it was such a shorter amount of time, it feels almost like, I don't know, like a kid that we had like briefly had like adopted for like a year. And then we're like, oh, how are you?
Yeah.
I always describe those as like friends from camp who were like, oh my God, I love that. But I haven't thought about you in years.
Yes,
Yeah.
so right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's been 9 years since that came out. Since Rough Night came out. And Time Traveling Bong, it was originally made as like a limited series. So it was like,
prestige limited series.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
It was one of those.
Was it Comedy Central?
Yes,
Yeah.
Comedy
Yeah.
Central.
which was so cool of them
Yeah.
to let us make that. It was like a silly idea. We made it for $1.
Yeah.
I really missed
We truly shot for 12 days or
Yes,
something.
it was
It
12
was so
days.
fast.
And it was like, I don't know, it was just one of the best experiences ever because it was just so fun. And I really miss like having a place where you can be like, hey, we're friends. We make stuff here. Can we make this silly little thing? Yeah, go make it. Like
I miss Comedy Central.
Yeah.
really,
Very much. Originals.
yeah. I mean, we bang the drum of like, what is the new Comedy Central? How about let's just bring the old Comedy Central back?
Absolutely. That's a thing we could do.
You never know. You never know.
Comedy Central Originals, the origin for us,
Yeah. I bring up the issue of like, where are the files? Because I have this hard drive that I'm pretty sure is all the Avid stuff for my movie, The Nines.
Really?
And
Good for you.
I get the rights back to The Nines, I think like next year.
Wow.
And so I could, in theory, do a thing or put it out on a different format. And I realized there's just very little out there about like how to take back a film or sort of what to do with that stuff. So honestly, if listeners have history or experience with like getting the rights back to a movie, I'm curious what people will do because right now Sony owns it through Newmarket and but in theory, I get all the rights to the movie back.
Wow.
That's
That's
cool.
great.
Yeah.
Is that common? I don't even know.
I think for true indies, it is kind of common.
Okay.
It's like a 20-year deal or something that they made on
Wow.
it. And
Wow.
I get stuff back on it. So at some point, the Time Traveling Bong could be yours.
I hope so, desperately.
Desperately.
Yes. We love our lawyer, but I'm like, I doubt it. I don't know. I'm like, wow, we're getting anything back? I don't know.